Hello. If you clicked on this video, chances are you are ready to confront that heavy, familiar feeling lodged deep within your heart, right where your desires and your need for love intersect. That feeling is shame. It is such a deeply internalized, silent adversary that we sometimes mistake it for a natural part of ourselves. Yet, shame is the greatest thief, robbing us of what we want and what we are capable of loving. Today, in this discussion, we are speaking directly to our mature viewers, those aged 40 and beyond. Perhaps you have navigated years of committed relationships, or maybe you have experienced long stretches of solitude. But what if there is still an invisible hand that holds you back in the bedroom, in a moment of desire, or in a simple, honest confession of feeling? That hand is shame itself. In every moment you silence your body and your soul, every time you hold back from claiming what is rightfully yours, this mechanism of shame is at work. The feeling of not being worthy, the fear of making a mistake, or the anxiety of appearing too much or not enough in your partner's eyes. All of these form a dark shadow cast over your genuine desires. Many people believe that sex is purely a physical act. However, the greatest roadblock to true satisfaction, perhaps even a climax, is not muscle tension, breath control, or a physical issue. It is the judging voice inside your mind. That voice whispers right when you are about to let go. You are doing it wrong. It is improper. You do not deserve this. The main enemy of pleasure, yes, sits right inside your own head. If these words resonate with you, if you are eager to shed this burden you have carried for years, you are in the right place. Remember, this channel is not just for light talk. It is for uncovering the profound truths that can reshape your life. Therefore, even as you continue watching, if you feel like you're one of the rare individuals who seeks this wisdom, please support this community by liking this video and subscribing to our channel. Let's empower this meeting point for people who think and feel like you do. Today, we will dissect the anatomy of this shame through the lens of the great psychologist, Horney, one of the foremost architects of our soul's wounds. Horney is particularly known for her concept of the neurotic need for love. We will broaden this concept to see how our fundamental need to desire and to be loved becomes distorted. According to Horney, the shame and fears we experience do not stem merely from outside pressure, but are entirely the product of our own inner conflict. Horney places a concept she calls basic anxiety at the core of human psychological development. This is the child's fear of being alone and helpless in a world perceived as hostile and unsafe. To escape this basic anxiety, we all gradually create an idealized self. This is the flawless, loved, strong version of ourselves that we feel we should be. However, the chasm between our real self, how we genuinely feel and live, and this idealized or false self is where shame is born. This chasm manifests most clearly in our sexual and emotional lives. The things you genuinely desire sometimes clash with the image of the good and moral self that you have idealized. For example, a woman who idealizes being reserved and chaste may feel deep shame when she experiences strong sexual urges, causing her to view herself as bad or unworthy. This leads her to suppress her desire, reject sex, or live with a constant feeling of guilt. Similarly, a man who idealizes being constantly strong, in control, and emotionally unavailable may feel ashamed of these weak emotions when he experiences deep love and tenderness for his partner, causing him to quickly retreat. Horney tells us this. Shame exists because we are constantly trying to escape the person we truly are. We carry an internalized belief that our real self, with all its flaws, uncontrolled desires, and inconsistencies, will not be accepted. This belief is fed by messages we receive in childhood from our parents, school, or society. Do not get angry because good girls do not get angry, boys do not cry. Those kinds of things are indecent. These messages eventually become our inner compulsions. Even if our parent is no longer physically present, that critical inner voice continues to monitor us. Many mature adults live as slaves to this critical voice. They have spent so long trying to maintain this false self that they have forgotten what they truly want. Even in the intimacy of a bedroom, instead of letting themselves go, they constantly watch themselves through their partner's eyes. Do I look good right now? Did I say the wrong thing? Is my partner bored with me? This inner judgment fragments the experience and disconnects us from the pleasure and closeness of the moment. Shame is always the enemy of the present moment. In the previous section, we established that shame is not just an emotion, but a mechanism rooted in the profound gap between our real self and the idealized self we construct, a concept illuminated by the work of Horney. That critical inner voice is the judge, constantly watching us and judging every moment of our desire. Now, let us examine the specific methods this judge uses to keep us away from love and sex. What Horney called the destructive neurotic trends. Horney identifies three main neurotic trends people develop to cope with basic anxiety: moving toward people, moving away from people, and moving against people. The surprising thing is that while all these trends aim to secure love and safety, they all ultimately destroy genuine intimacy by fueling shame. The first trend is moving toward people. This is a neurotic search for love. Because you believe your shame will leave you abandoned, you constantly chase approval, acceptance, and affection. For individuals caught in this trend, love is a refuge, and the partner is a life raft. Shame operates here by whispering, "I am not worthy of being loved for myself, so I must love my partner so much and satisfy their needs so completely that they can never leave me." In the bedroom, this person focuses intensely on the partner's pleasure rather than their own, sacrifices their needs, and disregards their boundaries. Expressing one's own pleasure feels shameful because it is perceived as selfishness. However, when love becomes a cycle of endless sacrifice, passion and real connection die. You believe you're loved not because you are worthy, but because you are useful. This is the most tragic distortion of love. The second trend is moving away from people. This is the attempt to protect oneself from shame through avoidance and isolation. You fear that your shame will be seen by others, and that this exposure will be painful. Therefore, you maintain distance to keep yourself safe. Thoughts run like, "If I do not truly connect with anyone, they cannot abandon me." Or if I do not feel desire, I have nothing to be ashamed of. This person avoids emotional closeness, maintains distance in the relationship, and may develop a lack of sexual desire or emotional coldness. In your 40s, this trend often hides under the mask of long-term solitude or finding peace in isolation. That sudden urge to withdraw when your partner tries to get close. That is shame's neurotic weapon keeping you safe. But the truth is, by avoiding closeness, you are not avoiding shame. You are avoiding love itself. The third trend is moving against people. This neurotic compulsion masks shame with active aggression and control. If I am strong and critical, no one will be able to see my weakness and shame me. These individuals constantly try to be right in the relationship, criticize their partners, and fight to win emotional arguments. They struggle to surrender control even in their sexual life. For them, sex can become a power struggle rather than an act of surrender. Emotional vulnerability is shameful because it carries the risk of appearing weak. These people actually need love more than anyone else, but the way they demand love through control and power pushes the other person away, reinforcing the shame cycle. This happens because the love they receive is forced and superficial. These three neurotic trends interact to define your patterns of love and sex throughout your life. Perhaps you were overly attached to your partner and sacrificed yourself for a period, only to experience a major disappointment and then completely shut down. This shows how the paths Horney described to escape shame are constantly changing. Which trend do you find yourself closer to? Now, let's turn to the crucial question. Why does this shame become even more pronounced after the age of 40? Because as we reach the midpoint of life, the cracks in our idealized self become visible. We realize we have not achieved all the dreams we held in our youth, that we are not flawless. This realization reawakens basic anxiety and shame. At this stage of life, shame does not just stem from sexual desires, but also from the time that has passed. I should not be feeling this way at my age. I should not be making these mistakes after all this experience. I should not still need this much love at this stage of my life. These inner voices are shame's new ammunition, driving you into deeper emotional avoidance. Horney teaches us that the only way to break free from these neuroses is to abandon the idealized or false self and courageously embrace the real self. Your real self is that version of you, flawed, prone to mistakes, sometimes shy, and yes, capable of boundless desire. Shame will exist as long as you try to cover up your reality. In the first two parts, we established that shame is not just a feeling that stops us in the bedroom and in relationships. Rather, it is a battle between our idealized self and our real self, intensified by the neurotic trends identified by Karen Horney. This war, however, does not stay internal. It tragically poisons the interaction between you and your partner, creating a shared cycle of shame. Now, let us discuss how this poison of shame operates in relationships and the therapeutic solutions Horney offers us. Shame constructs a shield of secrecy within the relationship. You hide your deepest desires, your greatest insecurities, and your past mistakes because you fear your partner will judge you. And your partner does the same. Consequently, two people walking side by side in life and even sharing a bed are actually living behind walls they have built themselves. These walls ostensibly protect you, but they are the executioners of intimacy and passion. In Horny psychology, it is crucial how our neurotic tendencies are fed by our partner's reactions. Let us say you lean toward the moving toward people trend, constantly sacrificing yourself. Your partner may begin to see your sacrifice not as love, but simply as earned service. When you eventually express your own needs, your partner's surprise or irritation validates your shame. See, I was selfish and I got a bad reaction. Thus, shame pushes you further into silence and sacrifice. Or perhaps you favor the moving away from people trend, making you emotionally unavailable. In response to your coldness, your partner will likely either demand more or, conversely, give up and become emotionally closed off. Your avoidance triggers their shame of abandonment. Their pressure, in turn, reinforces your shame. Closeness is dangerous. I must keep running. This creates a neurotic, vicious circle. Both sides hurt each other while trying to flee from shame. So, how does Horney suggest breaking this shame cycle? The answer is simple in concept, but difficult in execution: asserting your real self. Asserting our real self means realizing that we are worthy of acceptance just as we are, despite our flaws, contradictory desires, and emotional needs. This is the direct opposite of neurosis. While neurosis tells us be the person you should be, Horny's solution is be the person you are. To achieve this, you need to take 3 fundamental steps. The first step, recognize the inner critic. That critical voice inside you is not your true voice. It is an echo of the fears and judgments instilled in you years ago. Catch that voice when you criticize yourself in bed or conceal something from your partner. Ask that voice, what idealized rule am I violating right now? Shame loses its power when it is named. For instance, in response to the voice that says, it is shameful to feel desire, you must learn to say, this is my natural, healthy desire, and there is no shame in it. This is an active mental struggle. The second step, reclaim spontaneity. Shame demands a life that is planned and controlled. In sexuality, spontaneity is the greatest enemy of shame. Horney argues that creativity and spontaneity resolve neurosis. In the bedroom, stop thinking. Silence questions like, how should I look? Or am I doing the right thing? Just feel. Initially, this might intensify the feeling of shame because relinquishing control is difficult. But these moments of surrender are precisely when your true desires and your real self emerge. Intimacy with your partner in unexpected moments and unexpected ways will shatter shame's rigid rules. The third step, set realistic goals. Our idealized self always demands perfection. The real self, however, is fallible. Horney says you must be honest with yourself. The harder you try to be perfect, the larger your shame grows. Even in your 40s, you have the right to make mistakes, to be awkward sometimes, and to have desires that might feel shameful. True love demands acceptance despite flaws, not perfection. Stop expecting perfection from your partner and remove that expectation from yourself. This prevents shame from dragging you into the trap of comparison. Shame makes you forget that you deserve your own love and passion. But you, dear listener, who are listening right now, are worthy of love. Just as you are, with all your complexities, all your desires. In the first 3 parts, we established that shame is not merely a feeling that inhibits us in the bedroom and in relationships. Instead, it's a deeply rooted conflict, thoroughly analyzed by Horney, between the idealized self and the real self. This internal struggle is tragically exacerbated by our 3 neurotic trends. Now, it's time for this war to conclude, for us to move beyond shame and reach a state of genuine love and fulfillment. Shame is fundamentally rooted in the fear of non-acceptance. In maturity, in our 40s and beyond, this fear takes on a new dimension. I can't change at this age, or this is my destiny. It's too late now. Horney's greatest message of hope is this. No matter how deep the roots of our neuroses, human beings always retain the capacity for change and growth. Even at this age, it is possible to build a deeper, more sincere, and more passionate relationship. But this requires removing shame from the control center of your life. So, how do you completely break the shame cycle and feel deep down that you are worthy of love? First, conduct an honest inventory of yourself. Which neurotic tendency dominates you? Are you constantly begging for love and sacrificing yourself? Or are you erecting walls by maintaining emotional distance? Or do you mask your shame by using control and power? See these tendencies as defense mechanisms, not character flaws. They were created to protect you, but now they are harming you. This realization is the beginning of healing. Second, invite the real self into the relationship. Horney's solution involves a therapeutic process, but in daily life, this translates into taking emotional risks. True intimacy demands vulnerability. In an argument with your partner, instead of trying to be right, show the courage to say, right now, I feel hurt and alone. This act breaks the power of shame. In intimacy, saying, I want to try this, but I feel a little shy, is a way of preventing shame from controlling you. Remember, the risk of your partner judging you is always there. However, true love is the love that accepts your vulnerability. Moving toward the fear of non-acceptance reduces the territory of shame. Third, stop worshiping the idealized selves of others. One reason for our shame is constantly comparing ourselves to the seemingly flawless lives of others. This comparison quickly leads to feelings of inadequacy, which is shame. Recognize that everyone has an inner critic, a neurotic tendency, and a burden of shame. Understand that the perfect relationships seen behind social media filters have their own internal conflicts. The value of your love and your relationship is unique to you, and it cannot be compared to the apparent happiness of others. Horney reminds us, love is not a relationship established to fill a void. Love means 2 whole people enriching each other. When you overcome your shame and accept your real self, you stop searching for a life raft. You then choose your partner not as a savior, but as someone who accepts and loves the person you already are. This is the greatest sign of transition from neurotic love to real love. As I conclude my words, let's summarize the main takeaways from this 1-hour deep journey once more. Shame is not an external factor, but your internal conflict with the idealized self you created. Your avoidance of love and sex is caused by either excessive sacrifice or emotional avoidance. The way to overcome shame is by choosing vulnerability and letting go of control. You, with all your flaws, all your desires, or just as you are worthy of love and fulfillment. If this analysis has provided you with a moment of clarity, if it has inspired you to tear down the walls of shame in your life, please support us so this knowledge can reach more people. Please remember to like this video and subscribe to our channel. The community of mature souls who think and feel like you grows with your support. And let us part with the powerful words of the great psychologist Karen Horney. Man can only change when he accepts the courage to be as he is. The time to show this courage is right now.